You are sitting at a family dinner, and the topic of real estate comes up. Your uncle, who bought his 4-bedroom house for practically nothing in 1992, looks at you across the table. He asks when you are finally going to stop renting an apartment and settle down. You tell him that you are actually pretty happy renting right now, and that housing prices in your city are completely insane. Instantly, the unsolicited financial advice begins.
Oh, let me guess. He hits you with the classic, renting is throwing money away.
Exactly. And then he hits you with the ultimate guilt trip. When you rent, you are just paying someone else's mortgage.
I hate that argument. It always makes me feel like I'm failing if I don't own a house.
Society has completely brainwashed you into believing that if you do not own a piece of property with a white picket fence, you are failing at life. You are conditioned to believe that your landlord is stealing your future wealth, and that a house is the only legitimate way to become a millionaire. My name is Adam, and today we are going to completely destroy that illusion.
Wait, so renting isn't a financial trap?
It is a mathematical lie. It is a toxic myth propagated by real estate agents, mortgage brokers, and older generations who lived in a totally different economic reality. I'm going to show you exactly why the American dream of homeownership has quietly mutated into a financial trap for millions of average earners. Today, we are going to draw the absolute unedited math of renting versus buying. I'm going to expose the terrifying phantom costs of owning a home, the unrecoverable expenses that the bank desperately hopes you ignore. We will visually deconstruct the most powerful rule in real estate. Rent is a ceiling, and a mortgage is a floor. Then, I will show you the exact mathematical arbitrage that allows lifelong renters to build massive, liquid, multi-million-dollar portfolios that run circles around the average homeowner. Finally, we will outline the strict rules for when you actually should buy a house. Stop feeling guilty for renting your shelter. Let's go to the board. To break the societal brainwashing, we have to start by defining what throwing money away actually means. When your uncle tells you that renting is throwing money away, what he means is that your rent payment is an unrecoverable cost.
Right, because rent doesn't build equity. Once I pay it, it's gone.
That part is true. Rent is an unrecoverable cost. You are trading cash for a roof over your head. But what society completely fails to mention is that owning a home is absolutely packed with massive, terrifying, unrecoverable costs. I call these the phantom costs of homeownership, because they quietly bleed your wealth dry without ever showing up on a Zillow listing. Let's draw the money fire. Let's look at exactly what happens when you buy a $500,000 house. First, there is the interest. In our last real estate video, we talked about the amortization schedule. For the first 10 years of a 30-year mortgage, the vast majority of your monthly payment does not go toward the principal of the house.
Wait, phantom costs? Like what? A mortgage payment goes toward the actual house.
It goes straight into the bank's pocket as pure profit. If you pay $2,000 a month in interest to the bank, that is an unrecoverable cost. You threw that money away. You never get it back. Second, there are property taxes.
Well, yeah, but everyone has to pay taxes.
The local government charges you thousands of dollars every single year just for the privilege of standing on your own dirt. If you stop paying your property taxes, the government will literally seize your house. Property taxes are an unrecoverable cost. You threw that money away. Third, there is homeowner's insurance. This has absolutely skyrocketed nationwide. You must pay thousands of dollars a year to protect the asset. That is an unrecoverable cost. Fourth, the silent killer, maintenance. When you own the house, you are the landlord. When the HVAC unit dies, when the roof needs replacing, when the basement floods, you write the check. The mathematical rule is that you will spend 1 to 2% of the home's value every year just to keep it standing.
Okay, but how much is maintenance, really? A few repairs here and there?
On a $500,000 house, that is $5,000 a year in broken pipes and lawnmowers. You threw that money away. Finally, there is the friction of moving. When you buy a house, you pay closing costs. When you eventually sell the house, you pay a massive 6% commission to a real estate agent.
$30,000 just to sell the house?
On a $500,000 home, you just paid $30,000 to a realtor just to exit the asset. You threw that money away. Look at the sheer violence of these phantom costs. If you add up the interest, the taxes, the insurance, the maintenance, and the closing costs over a 10-year period, the average homeowner throws hundreds of thousands of dollars completely into the fire. Why does society conveniently ignore this? Because it destroys the fantasy. Renting is not throwing money away. Renting is simply paying a highly predictable premium to completely avoid all of the phantom costs of homeownership. Which brings us to the most powerful rule in real estate. If you want to survive the modern economy, you must internalize this exact phrase. Rent is a ceiling, and a mortgage is a floor.
What does that mean? A ceiling?
Let's look at the left side of the board. When you sign a lease for an apartment and the rent is exactly $2,000 a month, that is the absolute maximum amount of money you will pay for your housing that month. It is a mathematical ceiling. If the refrigerator dies, you do not pay for it. If the roof caves in, you do not pay for it. If the property taxes in your city skyrocket, you are completely shielded from it for the duration of your lease. You pick up the phone, you call the property manager, and it becomes their financial emergency.
So basically, I'm buying predictability.
You have purchased predictability. And in personal finance, predictability is power. Now let's look at the right side of the board. When you buy a house and the bank tells you your mortgage payment is $3,000 a month, that is the absolute minimum amount of money you will pay for your housing that month. It is a mathematical floor. That $3,000 assumes that absolutely nothing goes wrong. But houses are physical objects exposed to weather and time. Things always go wrong.
Because if the water heater explodes on a Tuesday, that month just cost me $4,000.
Exactly. The homeowner is completely exposed to the chaotic volatility of the physical world. But the ceiling versus the floor is not just about maintenance. It is about the ultimate superpower in the modern economy: mobility. We no longer live in a world where you graduate college, get a job at the local factory, and work there for 40 years.
Right. If I get a job offer, I just break my lease or wait it out and move.
The modern economy requires you to be agile. If you get an incredible job offer across the country that doubles your salary, the renter simply waits for their lease to expire, packs a few boxes, and moves. The homeowner is anchored to the dirt. To take that job, they have to put their house on the market, pray that interest rates are favorable, deal with showings, pay $30,000 to a realtor, and hope the house sells in time. Most homeowners turn down massive career advancements simply because they are physically trapped by their mortgage. The renter is paying a premium for ultimate mobility and absolute financial predictability.
But wait, what about the fact that a house goes up in value? Isn't that the whole point?
Let's do the math on that. Let's look at the opportunity cost. This is where we completely dismantle the throwing money away myth. We have to compare the financial trajectory of the homeowner against the financial trajectory of the disciplined renter. In finance, this is called opportunity cost. Every dollar you trap inside the drywall of a house is a dollar that cannot be deployed into the stock market. Let's look at two completely identical people, buyer Bob and renter Rachel. They both have managed to save exactly $100,000 in cash. Buyer Bob follows societal advice. He takes his entire $100,000 and uses it as a down payment on a house. His cash is now totally illiquid. It is trapped in the dirt.
So Bob's money is tied up, but his house is appreciating, right?
Over the long term, historically, physical real estate appreciates at roughly 3 to 4% per year. It barely outpaces standard inflation. Bob is paying property taxes, maintenance, and massive interest to the bank. Renter Rachel ignores society. She realizes that buying a house right now would cost her $3,000 a month, but she can rent a very similar apartment for $2,000 a month.
So she puts the $100,000 in the S&P 500. What about the $1,000 difference?
Rachel takes her $100,000 in cash, and instead of giving it to a bank, she routes it directly into the S&P 500 index fund. Then she executes the ultimate arbitrage, Because her rent is $1,000 cheaper than Bob's mortgage and maintenance costs, she takes that extra $1,000 in cash flow every single month and automatically invests it into the index fund. Let's fast forward 20 years. Let's look at the math. Bob's house has appreciated. He has built equity and he feels wealthy. But his wealth is completely trapped in a physical asset. If he wants to buy groceries with his house equity, he has to go to the bank and take out a loan against his house, or sell it and pay massive fees.
And Rachel?
Look at Rachel's green line. Her initial $100,000 plus her $1,000 monthly deposits have been compounding in the stock market at an historical average of 8 to 10%. After 20 years, Rachel's liquid investment portfolio has exploded into millions of dollars. Her wealth is completely liquid.
So she can just click a button to sell a tiny piece of her stocks? No closing costs?
She pays zero property taxes on her stocks. She pays zero maintenance fees on her index funds. Rachel mathematically destroyed Bob.
So renting is actually how you build wealth faster?
Renting is only throwing money away if you take the money you saved on a down payment and blow it on luxury cars and expensive dinners. But if you rent to keep your housing costs low and you ruthlessly invest the difference into income-producing assets, you will build generational wealth drastically faster than the average homeowner. You are unanchored. You are liquid. You are leveraging compound interest instead of paying compound interest.
So are you saying I should literally never buy a house?
I am not telling you to rent an apartment for the rest of your life. Owning a home can be an incredibly beautiful, stabilizing part of the human experience, but you must stop treating your primary residence as a financial investment and start treating it for what it actually is, a highly expensive lifestyle choice. You do not buy a house to get rich. You buy a house because you want to paint the walls whatever color you want. You buy a house because you want your children to go to a specific school district. You buy a house because you want a backyard for a golden retriever. If you desire that lifestyle, you absolutely should buy the house.
Okay, but when does it actually make sense to buy?
But you must only execute the purchase if you pass two strict mathematical rules. Rule number 1, the decade rule.
Because of the closing costs and realtor fees.
Because of the massive, unrecoverable closing costs and real estate agent fees, if you buy a house and sell it 3 years later, you will mathematically lose money. You should only buy a house if you are absolutely 100% certain that you are going to live in that specific geographic location for the next 7 to 10 years. If you are young, single, and your career might require you to move, do not anchor yourself to the dirt. Rule number 2, the margin rule. We covered this heavily in a previous video. You only buy the house if the total monthly cost, the mortgage, the property taxes, the insurance, and the maintenance is less than 25% of your physical take-home pay.
And if I don't hit those rules?
If you pass the decade rule and your budget passes the margin rule, you have earned the absolute right to buy the house. You will own the property, and the property will not own you. But until you hit those exact parameters, do not let anyone make you feel guilty for renting.
It's crazy how backward the traditional advice is.
The absolute worst financial decision you can make is allowing societal pressure to force you into signing a 30-year contract for an asset you cannot afford. When you strip away the romanticized fantasy of the white picket fence, you realize that renting is a perfectly valid, mathematically sound strategy. Renting provides a fixed ceiling on your expenses, protects you from the terrifying volatility of home repairs, and allows you to keep your capital liquid.
And liquidity is freedom.
Exactly. By renting a smaller space and aggressively investing your cash into the stock market, you are leveraging the most powerful wealth-building engines on the planet. You are not throwing your money away. You are buying your mobility, your predictability, and your ultimate freedom. If you want to master the actual rules of money, the mathematical realities that the traditional real estate industry hopes you never figure out, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We break down the exact math of personal finance, wealth building, and investing every single week. Stop letting society dictate your balance sheet. Protect your liquidity. I will see you in the next breakdown.